Yo, so this is a podcast with my friend Chris Stephenson. I just finished kind of like watching through, and yeah, we did the podcast today. Just to preface it a little bit, Chris is a good friend of mine, a dear friend of mine. We've worked on a lot of projects together, but we're also like really good friends. And he has spent, I don't know, the last like 6 months in Spain, or maybe 4 months or whatever. So I thought it would be a really cool idea to just like do a podcast with him and not catch up too much in advance and just kind of let it out. So we kind of go all over the place, but he has done tons of things that I talk about at the very start of the podcast. Super talented dude. So just wanted to preface the video with that, and I hope you enjoy it. Okay, bye. What's up? You are listening or watching to the Cory Experiences Life podcast. I'm here with my friend Chris Stephenson.
Hi, guys.
And I will give you a little bit of an introduction, okay? You ready for this?
Sweet.
So, Chris Stephenson is a drummer. If I'm going to talk about his professional accolades, Chris is sponsored by Mapex. Endorsed? What term should I use?
Yeah, okay, so after we did that one video
Yeah.
about being endorsed, and it's funny because I've been endorsed for a long time. Well, starting with Los Cabos in 2019.
Okay, wait. Sit comfortable.
Okay. Yeah,
you don't have to do this.
It's just weird having a mic right in my face and like, what do I do? How do I drink my coffee? What do I do?
Dude, just be comfortable. Talking like that's fine.
Okay, yeah.
Like that distance fine. Just like pretend like the mic's not there.
Okay, so basically when we did that video, my rep for Remo, he had commented like, oh, I'm so tired when artists say like, I'm endorsed. He goes, no, you are endorsing the brand. And I had never thought of it that way. And in my opinion, it goes both ways. And a lot of,
Okay.
like in terms of like, if a brand is going to sponsor you or endorse you, you're also endorsing that product. Like if they want you a part of the team, they need to make sure you're a quality artist and just a nice person, And
it's a mutual.
Yeah, it's a mutual.
relationship.
Yeah, it's a symbiotic relationship. And so, anyways, but that being said, I endorse.
Chris endorses Mapex, Remo percussion, Los Cabos drumsticks, and Murat Daril cymbals.
Yes,
I did not mess up the name.
Yeah.
So continuing with professional accolades. Excuse me. Chris has also done some extensive touring. He has toured. I don't know this, but I'm gonna. Okay, so you've done Canada.
Yeah.
Coast to coast.
Yep.
You've done the States.
Yep.
Probably the majority of the States.
Yep.
You've done Mexico. Have you done Mexico? Brazil.
Yep.
You've done Europe.
Yep.
The majority of, I don't know, lots of Europe, including the UK in there.
Mm-hmm.
Have you done Japan?
Yep.
You've done Japan? Damn, what the hell? And
that's it.
And that's it. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
So that's where it stops. So, I mean, like the major places where you play rock and roll music.
Yeah.
So Chris is a drummer, endorses 4 brands, has toured the world extensively, also plays in a band called Old James, which is his band with his brother and my friend Brian Stephenson, which I've done a podcast with before, and you'll probably be seeing more of him in the near future. On top of this, Chris has recently started a YouTube channel and has accepted that the internet is here to stay. So he's done some kind of like, he's really just gotten started with it, but we've talked about it a bunch. I can say that I've kind of introduced you to that world, and it's cool to see you kind of understand it and kind of like start running with it. So I think, yeah, so you start a YouTube channel, you post on your Instagram, you use social media effectively, which is cool. And with that all being said, Chris is a drummer. And when I talked to him a while ago, that's exactly what you said you wanted to do. Like you just want to spend your time behind a drum kit. So you are doing everything you want, or everything you can be doing to assure that you can play drums and continue to play drums.
Yeah.
So why are you the happiest person I know?
Well, that's not true. But I am a true believer that life happens, or everything happens for a reason. I know not everybody has that mindset, but just to give you an example, like I actually started recording YouTube videos back in 2007. If you dig deep enough on YouTube, you will find at least 3 or 4 Chris Stephenson like drum videos.
Cool.
And it's just me doing solos. The quality of my playing from when I was like 15 or 16 versus now is...
That's 12 years ago, yeah.
Well, exactly, yeah. So, and it's really funny because when I look at guys like Luke Holland and Matt McGuire and those guys that have been doing it for a decade now, they started the exact same time that I did.
Yeah.
And YouTube was kind of a thing then, like it was out there, but
YouTube started, I believe 2006. So
oh, okay, yeah. So
it's a pretty relatively new.
Yeah, and I remember jumping on it because I was like, oh, this is so cool. I can actually show people my drumming, and I just never kept up with it because in 2009, that's when I even did a video for Los Cabos. It was on Vivo though, and that was like 2008. But then in 2009, I started touring. So then the whole recording videos at home wasn't really a thing for me. I just wanted to hit the road. So if you dig deep enough, you'll find them. Maybe we can check them out later. But in terms of everything happening for a reason, I am where I am now. But even with the MacBook, for instance, like you told me it's going to die. And I was like, I'm just going to milk it.
I got to preface this because no one has any idea what we're talking about. So Chris has had a MacBook that he got in 2013 when you took a recording. Yeah, like that was, so he took a recording program, and it was required that he had a MacBook. So he had this MacBook since 2013, and he just touched on it. It recently died, but for the last probably 2 years, maybe 1.5 years, I've been telling him like, yo, this thing is on its last legs. Like this thing will die any day. Yeah. And I was like half joking at the start, and then like every time you would bring it over, I would open it up, and it would like make a new different sound, and I was like, it should not be like there's something wrong with it. You've already replaced the hard drive. I don't know. It
was brutal. Like, but I was just milking it for all it was worth, you know, because like, but the difference is like a MacBook Pro 13-inch in 2013 was only like $1,100. Where now they're, I mean, they're
definitely more expensive.
Yeah, they're more expensive, but I've also learned that things are only expensive when you don't really have money. You know, like, you know, that's one thing my dad said to me that really hit home. You know, I was like, that is a very good point. You know, because he goes, "Oh, MacBook is cheap for me. Like, that's no problem."
Your dad's flexing on you.
Yeah, no, really, but it's like, I
pocket change.
Yeah, exactly. Here's a slap against backside of your head, you know, and but at least it hit home with me. I'm like, you're right, and I would like to be able to say that, you know, like, that's cool, you know, and
so that's when you join the Air Force.
Yes, exactly. I'm going to shave my head and join the Air Force. Well, my dream was always to be a fighter pilot, like my dad. You know,
you still got time, dude.
Nah, not with that profession. Maybe with YouTube, but not. So it's funny how like things come full circle, right? Now YouTube is actually like a prevalent thing. You know, it's. I mean,
it has been for years.
It has been for years. Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, we've gone like on a tangent there, but just to touch on that point, this is going to be like the most ADD conversation ever. We're just going to keep going with it.
Yeah.
But so I touched on this earlier. Oh, okay, yeah. Well, let's just keep going down this path because this is going to be a huge mess if I keep going in different directions. Okay, so earlier we were catching up in your kitchen, and I mentioned that musicians musicians are last to take advantage of like new technologies for the most part in general. And like we're both in our mid to late 20s here. So we're kind of a different generation and we're adapting to the new generation. But can you touch on like what was your first thought when I was like, yo, I think you should start a YouTube channel. This is why. Because a lot of musicians seem to be hesitant to do that. And a lot of musicians don't like change. And it takes like way too much time for them to finally try and do something. But it's like, they're just so behind that they can't catch up. And so you play rock music, you play metal music, all in that realm there. Mm-hmm. How has it been starting a YouTube channel? Like, what was your mindset going into it? How have other people reacted that you know? Well,
so like my initial reaction was like every musician my age, you know, born in late 80s, early 90s, where we're kind of on the cusp of like the old school and now the new school. And my reaction was like, you know, like, sure, maybe I'll do some drum covers, you know, like that was just my initial one. But it wasn't until I did that session for the band from Arizona.
Right.
And you were like, we're just going to document it. We're going to vlog it and I'll show you. Like, and then you're going to post it on your new YouTube channel. You're going to see the reaction. I'm just going to show you what it's like. Yeah. And it wasn't until we finished that video and you sent it over to me, and I posted it, and I wrote to all my friends, hey, can you guys please support me by liking, subscribing, and commenting? And it fucking like I think only 4 videos. Yeah, I went to like 100 and
you're over 100 subscribers. I think you're at like 130 now.
Yeah, and I haven't like. Well, then my computer died, so I stopped. I was consistently posting weekly, but tying back to that like point of everything happens for a reason. Like after that, like I did a tour with Cauldron in October, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna move back to Ottawa, and we'll get into that later where I was. And I'm gonna really focus on my drum career because I already have these. Like I already endorse major brands. Like these are major brands that are very popular, and if I become a popular artist by working hard, we'll have a closer relationship, and
it's a win-win. If your goal is to be playing drums professionally, like make your money playing drums, I think, and I mentioned this earlier when we were hanging out, that like to maximize your to maximize your opportunity to find success. There's a better way of saying that. You just have to fire more. Like you just have to like do
on all cylinders.
Do more.
Fire on all cylinders,
so you're already a studio drummer. People hire you to play in the studio. You are already a touring drummer. People hire you to tour. You endorse 4 different like brands. You already are doing these like major professional drummer things.
Yeah, exactly.
And actually, I remember when we originally had the conversation where I was like, yo, dude, I think you should be doing this. I was like, your lifestyle is crazy. Like if I try to explain that to my mother, like that's crazy. The amount of like, I don't know, just like uncertainty and how things change. Like if you look at last year and the year before that and the year before that, you can't predict what happens. Like you're always just kind of like riding the wave, trying to find the next thing, trying to create some sort of sustainability and like just always adapting. So it's like your lifestyle is crazy.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy.
Exactly, yeah.
And if you think about yourself or if you think about anyone that's starting to play drums, they're going to look up to you because you're doing it. Like you are doing it.
Yeah, I'm grinding all the time. And so I think that's one skill set that adapting and grinding, always working hard. Sometimes you might not actually be doing the right thing, but you're going to learn from it and always adapt. But I think what we were talking about in the kitchen as well, it was just like you said, I already have these skill sets, but it's like, why not document what I'm doing?
Share it
and
with
share
the world.
That's that one cylinder that guys my age are not doing. And like, so that's what we were talking about in the kitchen at home, is that if I look at my drumming as a trade, like if you look at an electrician or a plumber or whatever, they don't say, oh, I only do homes exclusively. No, they're going to do commercial. They're going to
take every gig.
Yeah,
they're going to make sure that they're getting paid.
If they are self-employed, then they'll be smart and that's what they'll do. Is this a Jordan?
Taylor, come in.
It's a Taylor.
Come on in.
Hi, Tay-Tay.
Okay, I'm going to teach a studio lesson here. I didn't put the sign on the door that said, don't bother us. Taylor, come in the shot.
Yeah, no, Taylor never bothers us.
Okay, now get out of here.
Good to see you, Tay-Tay.
Bye, guys.
Could you put the sign on the door? My bad.
Sign on the door.
Where? I think it's on the outside. There's one just outside the door.
All right, see you, baby.
This is going to be the best part of the video.
Yeah, I know.
So Taylor's going to start a YouTube channel soon.
Yeah. He'll be in this spot soon.
But, so yeah, just to kind of like wrap up that point there.
Yeah.
Like we both agree and that, yeah, just like doing more, sharing what you do while doing it is like this beautiful thing because you can find like-minded individuals, people that are doing the same thing, people that look up to it, people that just find it entertaining, whatever. You are sharing your knowledge. You are creating a community of people that like-minded individuals that enjoy the same stuff.
Yeah.
And it's only good things can come from that, and it's only going to create good opportunities. And I encourage everyone to do it.
Yes.
I know I say this all the time, and I sound like a psychopath when I do it because I'm so passionate about it. But I think it's true.
Yeah, totally. And for anybody that is watching this, if they have any questions, feel free to contact us. We're on social media. You know where to find us. And yeah, because like it's about helping each other as well as like, because creating a community, obviously, you know, and one thing that we were talking about before we got like in the kitchen. Yep. No one knows where we were.
We should have just filmed the kitchen conversation.
Yeah, really. Like, yeah, we were like, oh, we got to talk about this on the podcast. Like, it's interesting because if you look at a guy like myself and like even yourself, you know, like we're on that cusp, and we have skill sets. Like I've been drumming for 16 years. I've been doing this professionally for almost a decade. Like touring and recording Juno nominated albums. Like I've been doing it. So now's the time to document it, because the younger generation that understands social media a billion times better than I do, they don't have the same skill sets. So if I can convert my skill sets and what I'm currently doing and learn social media, which is much easier to learn than learning 16 years of drumming in a few years. And not just drumming, not just the skill of playing drums, but just
making a living in the
exactly. Yeah.
Being
So
a drummer.
if I can convert that and make my mistakes sooner than later when it comes to social media, I'll be set. I know I will be, because I'll grind at it and I'll enjoy it too. Like I think it's super cool, like posting a video of yourself playing and hearing feedback, whether it's positive or negative. It's like people are watching me play, and it's cool.
It's a really like it's kind of an interesting experience when you like post a video on the internet, for example, or even a photo, because you just see these numbers.
Yep.
But the way I kind of look at it is like, if I post a video and I see that it gets 300 views, it's like we've both played tons of shows.
Yeah, no,
Imagine if
exactly.
300 people are watching you. Like that's, you feel
totally.
good about that.
Yeah.
So it's like, cool. This is like just a different way to share, and
Yeah, well, exactly. And the one thing that, like, I think the biggest hurdle that I have had, and that I'm going to have as well, as I get comfortable with a camera, again, like that's one thing that I do struggle with, because the difference between playing a show and then having a camera in front of you is like, with a show, you just let loose and you have all that adrenaline. With a camera and content, you overthink. So at least I do. Like, I
think everyone does. Yeah,
everybody does. It's like a human instinct, I think, to not have that energy coming back at you. So one thing, like I was actually watching an interview this morning of a gospel drummer. I think it's the drummer for John Mayer, Calvin Rogers.
Okay.
And he's like an amazing gospel chop, just amazing player, obviously, so much groove and feel. And he was saying, he goes, well, when I was growing up playing in church, that was like experience on the job, or however they say it, like
work experience. Like it was just experience that you gained from doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Just from doing it. And he goes, but we're in a church environment and it feels good. And he goes, I feel like that's why people are so attracted when it comes to drumming, gospel music, gospel chops, all that stuff, because when we're playing, we're not overthinking. We're just feeling it. We're just playing. And he was just, his point was, he feels that drummers need to embrace that, just feel, whether it's a camera, an audience, or whatever, players. And that's what I hope to embrace when it comes to creating content,
It's like anything. Like it really is like anything. In my experience, it was a really alienating thing talking to a camera originally, but you kind of just like put on the face and try, and hopefully it's believable. And then I would go through and I would edit everything and try and make it I was trying to hit like a standard, because I saw other people doing it and I was like, oh, I should try and recreate that. And then recently I just got so unmotivated doing that, because I felt like, one, it was a lot more work, and two, it just wasn't something I was like proud to show anyone, because it just didn't feel like me. It felt like I was trying to be like a YouTuber, and I was like, wait a minute, that's not why I want to do this. I just want to do this so I can like share the cool things that I get to do. So I think I'm gonna like drop that element of it, but that's it. I had to start and try and feel uncomfortable, talk to a camera, put out 30, 40 videos, and then like here I am now. And I feel like even my speaking has become better.
No, it really
like
has,
just talking to a camera and like feeling natural, and not overthinking it. And it's become something that like brings joy. Like it's something that's like fun to do
exactly.
now.
Yeah. And that goes to the just be yourself type of thing, like
I think that's really important, because if you aren't yourself, or if you're trying to be something else, it's only going to just like demotivate you later, because you're trying to be something you aren't. Whereas if you can make it as natural and frictionless as possible, and just be yourself and accept like who you are, like the way you talk, and you might make a mistake here or there,
exactly,
or someone might not like you, like who cares?
That's it. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I think that is the goal, and that is the point. Is once you stop caring what other people think and fear of failure, that is when you will succeed.
Well, yeah.
Because like, yeah, no, not everybody in the world is going to enjoy my playing. There's going to be a lot of critics, but perhaps I can learn from those critics. Perhaps, but the amount of people that will enjoy it as well, like it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like it's just the fact that I can share my experience and I'm doing what I love.
Yeah.
And that's
Well,
that.
I think most people would enjoy your playing, like for the most part, like the stuff you do very well. Like you're an elite drummer.
Thank you.
It's yeah, it's like the personalities and philosophies that like I feel like people might have a tougher time. Not saying that you have crazy personality or philosophies.
No, but you're right.
But like just people vibe with different things.
Yeah.
And that's almost the most vulnerable part. Like playing
Totally,
drums,
yeah.
you know you're confident. You've done that so
Yeah,
much.
yeah,
You've played
exactly.
in front of thousands of people. It's like
Yeah.
that you know you can do that, but it's like
Yeah, I know you're right. It's
being yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Being yourself. And like, the book I've written, I want to teach online, right?
Let's talk about that.
Okay. So,
Okay, I
Yeah,
realized
how do
when
I
I was
start
talking about his professional accolades that I left out that he's a two-time Juno nominated drummer. You've worked on 2 projects that
yeah.
have been nominated for Junos, and in the last year, he spent the majority, not the majority, maybe half of it in Spain. And while you were there, actually before you went to Spain, you started writing a book, an educational book, writing like your philosophy. I can't explain that. I'll let you explain this.
Well, yeah. So, I guess going back, like I met a girl in Madrid when Brian was on tour with a band that I used to play drums for that was nominated for a Juno. And that was about 2 years ago. And since like last May, I've been going back and forth more often. And then I did a tour with Cauldron this past October, but I was essentially living there to get my residency card, which I currently received. So I've come back to Ottawa to really focus. But about the book, when I was the type of drummer that I only had lessons for about a year from a teacher named Alex Landenberg. So he's family to Brian and I and our mom and just our family in general. He's amazing human being and an amazing drummer and a great mentor because one thing that I received that I'm very grateful for was Alex's mentorship because when I first had drum lessons, I learned how to read like maybe quarter notes and eighth notes and 16th notes, but a year wasn't enough to really develop my understanding for reading and theory. But he showed me bands, like we were on the same wavelength, like heavy metal bands, and I just kept listening to the records, and he was all about sound. He's like, just listen. And I basically learned how to play drums just by listening to records and mimicking it. So I learned the instrument by ear. One frustration I had by the time I was it was in 2014, there was a competition. It was Thomas Lang. He's a big elite drummer. He's a legendary drummer. That he was hosting a camp in LA, and it was in 2014. It's called the Big Drum Bonanza, but he was inviting all these stars like Chris Coleman from Prince and Matt Garska from Animals as Leaders, and Achilles Priester, one of my favorite drummers from when I was 12 years old. And anyways, the frustrating part for me was like my mom helped me go to this camp, and I was around all these like amazing legendary drummers, but I didn't really learn anything because I didn't really understand the lingo they were talking about when they were actually teaching the students. And that was extremely frustrating because I was like, how can I master this instrument if I don't even know how to read music and I don't understand the language? So anyways, those guys said to me, just find a good teacher. That didn't work either, and I actually hustled trying to play like very strict hours, like 8 hours a day. I'm going to wake up and I'm going to practice. And then I'd open up a book and I couldn't read it. And I was just very frustrated. So one thing Chris Coleman said to me though, he was like, we were in a private lesson. So I spent it was like $300 for an hour and a half lesson with these guys, like privately, outside of the group camp.
It's a good paying gig.
Yeah, exactly. And so he's on bass guitar and he plays bass just as well as he plays drums, which is insane. And he said to me, he goes, okay, Google exists, all this stuff, like try and find a good teacher if you can't, because there obviously has to be chemistry. He goes, just find out what a whole note is. And then he goes, then find out what a half note is and just try and figure out how they function. Just, you have to go on your own journey. And that's that. Like you can find a good teacher as well, but one thing he said to me, and this has stuck with me, he goes, if there is a strong enough why, any how is possible with anything that you're interested in. So I went on that path, and as I was learning, okay, this is this and blah, blah, blah about music theory. And there was a lot of like piano lessons I was watching as well. I basically came up with my own concept. So the concept of the book is called Beyond the Metronome. It's a pretty cheesy title, but because there's a lot of like Instagram guys that have like Beyond the Beat and Beyond this and like, but the title really reflects the concept of the book, because the concept of the book is the even tree, the dotted tree, and the uplet tree. So I have everything divided into a tree concept where the root of the tree is a whole note, and that it subdivides to 16th notes, and that's just the even tree. And then we have the dotted tree from a dotted whole note, and it subdivides to a dotted eighth note. And then the uplet tree is divided into triplets, quintuplets, and septuplets. So the idea and concept of this book is I'm not really the type of drummer that, I go to the gym to exercise. I don't really look at drumming as this is an exercise. I never really worked on a practice pad, or it was all just music and sounds, and I would just hop behind the kit and try and create. So I see them more as creative tools. So that's why the whole Beyond the Metronome concept is like, we use the metronome as a tool, but we are the creative aspect of that. So basically all of the subdivisions from each tree go through each time signature, and there's only 3/4 to 7/4. I'm a big believer that you are the creative tool to manipulate the tool. Like, we don't need to start counting all or changing the metronome to be all these different, and you'll understand that when it comes to tracking. Like, I think you'd prefer to, like, let's say, there's okay, I'm just going to give you an example. Let's say a prog metal band comes in and they want to record. They go, okay, this part's at 7/4 and this is 3/4, and but we're playing in 10/8 and like all that stuff. I would just say that's in 5/4, and if you need to skip a beat, so in part of my book is it goes into metric modulation and all this stuff, and this is all stuff I literally learned in the past year. So I had a strong enough why, and I figured it out. And I was talking to Taylor about it. Like, it's a good thing you walked in. So I was talking to Taylor, who's a Carleton graduate, about this concept, and I went to Benny Greb's teacher camp back in October in Germany, and he was blown away by the concept in terms of like, he's like, this is some advanced stuff.
You should have started with that.
Yeah.
People are like, bye.
Yeah, bye. Yeah. And yeah, he even offered to have a private Skype lesson with me just to chat about the concept. And anyways, the point of this is, like, in the past 5 years, I kind of stumbled across I never had in my mind, I'm going to write a book and I'm going to come up with a concept. Like, you can't force anything, but I kind of came up with my own method, if you will, on how I approach the drums and like how I approach music theory. And I believe that, okay, you have the players that can tour and make money and record just by listening and playing. Then you have the academics that are very myopic in the
just the nitty gritty.
Yeah,
technical,
exactly. They'll
stuff.
probably rip my book apart because it's not what they learned in university. And then I want to be a player in the middle. And I believe nowadays everybody should be the player in the middle that understands both sides of the coin and can, creatively as well, go back and forth. When you hop into the studio, you understand what the music director is telling you. You understand what the producer is telling you. And then you are also such an amazing creator that the colors you present on that record or even live, like, you're indispensable amongst your peers. Like, you are the drummer they have to get because you're that good, So anyways, while I was in Spain, I'm very grateful to my girlfriend and her family, because I could have just been a lazy bum going to the beach every day because I was in northern Spain, but I just worked on my book every single day, and they were very supportive of it. And also they were like, you need to go back to Ottawa to make your dreams come true. You know, it's not going to happen in northern Spain. But I did wait around to get my residency card. And now that I have that, like, I believe that any aspect of your life you need to work hard at.
Nice.
Yeah, that was a Brian comment.
Yeah.
I wish he was here because he could have taken that somewhere. But
I'm glad he isn't.
yeah, exactly. So, yeah. Anyways, they were very supportive, and I have friends like yourself that are very supportive as well. And yeah, I kind of had that revelation of being in Spain, being away. I'm very grateful that I had the time to be away as well, because I could look at my life back home and return to it with what I want instead of being mixed in it and like, oh, I miss my girlfriend that's in Spain, but I have all this stuff to do, and like my mind's all over the place. So I was able to go spend time there and look at my life back home. Okay, what do I want to do, and how do I
Come back with a purpose.
exactly? That's it.
Cool. All right. So that more or less sums up the book there. I got a couple things, topics here. So I guess let's talk about, I would love to talk about how you got endorsed, but you've already made a video on your channel about that. So I'm not going to touch on that too much, or how you endorsed.
Yeah. So that's the funny thing is like, I'm not going to pull the video down because now it has some sort of like I'm hoping in the future people are commenting like, well, you're not endorsed, you endorse, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like some good conversation, but
Yeah. That'd be cool.
yeah.
What are some of your goals then for 2019? Just, I guess, let's say professional goals first. Just like, let's say 3 things that you would hope to accomplish that you think are realistic if you put the work in.
Yeah. So right now I'm working on a project in my mom's basement that I've been talking about for years, and you know that as well.
Yeah.
Like just creating my own home studio. Nothing too fancy or crazy, but just something that I can have a permanent setup and just hit record and play drums. Like literally what like your job is here in the studio when an artist comes in, their job is just to play and be creative, and you hit record, right?
Yep.
And you walk them through the process. So I want to have that at home so that I don't have to worry about like, so the small steps for my long-term goals are just to get this studio happening at home. And maybe in the month of February, when I have everything settled, is to just start playing around with it and maybe release a few videos so that I can make the mistakes and
Yep.
get used to what I have at home.
Go through the process.
Yeah. And then, by the springtime, I want to be posting a video every single day. Like that, I think is a realistic goal.
You just set it on record.
Yeah. So
You got to hold yourself accountable.
Yeah. And I will. So that when I came back to Ottawa with a purpose, it was to make money doing what I love. So now I just received a teaching job that I can do that. And it supports, because one thing I learned from you and my dad and like people that care about my situation financially as well. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Is that nothing comes for free. Just in terms of like, I need to work and make money in order to eventually make money doing what I want.
Doing the content side of
Yeah,
things.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things where it's a stupid excuse to always be like, oh, I can't afford it, because then you're never going to get anywhere,
Yeah, we touched on this in the kitchen or in the car or
Yeah.
something. But it's one thing that holds a lot of musicians back is just having like resources, and whether that's like money or friends that have like specific gear or whatever, like they're missing something, and whether they actually need that thing that they're talking about or not, mentally it's just a block that'll hold you back.
Totally.
So
yeah.
it can be like it can be something like physical. I need a camera so I can record these videos.
Yeah.
And if you never prioritize that enough to save up and purchase that thing, then 2 years, 3 years, 4 years will pass, and you'll never get around to it, and it'll just always be this dream that, and then you'll have the law of diminishing intent. The longer it takes to start something, the more likely it is you'll never do it.
Exactly.
So yeah, like I'm happy that you're putting yourself in a position to be able to like not just live and survive and live like a happy, healthy life, but like be able to like live large and buy the things that you need because you understand the value of what they can bring.
Yeah,
to you.
exactly. Yeah, no, totally. Like, so thank you for the help in that as well.
Okay, so that's one goal is just kind of starting the content side of things.
Yep.
Just kind of getting that machine and engine going. So acquiring some tools, creating a good environment,
Yep.
and then figuring it out how to use what you have and figuring out a content schedule or
Well, exactly.
what it is exactly that you want to do. Because right now I'm sure you have an idea of what you want to do.
Yeah.
But once you start, like you said, once you fail, once you realize how much time it takes to do this versus this, you'll figure out what it is that is worth your time, what it is that brings you joy, and what it is that you enjoy sharing.
Exactly.
So that's number one. You're going to do that in 2019.
Yeah.
You also play in a band. Do you have any goals with that?
Yeah. So, I'll touch on something else right afterwards. Well, we were talking about the book before. So as I'm working out the kinks, just releasing videos of myself playing, like I want people to see that I can actually play before I release any content from the book. In that time, I'm going to be sending my book to publishers. Hopefully I can get it published.
And you got some connections, right? Overseas.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't have to talk about it, but
yeah.
I remember when you told me that, that's when I was like, oh, this is serious.
Yeah,
this is like really serious.
Yeah,
cool.
exactly. Yeah, no, I've been talking to a lot of professionals in the
in this world.
Yes, exactly. Like in the professional drum world specifically, like, some big names that no one's going to do it for you. No one's going to just help you. Like, you can't rely on that. You know what I mean? But like,
they'll give you invaluable guidance.
Exactly. That's it. Yeah. And perhaps a contact, send it to this person or whatever. So I'm not going to rely on that. But at the same time, like, I'm going to send it around to publishing companies because the same with the band, like I want this book to be massive. Like I don't want to just self-release it. One thing that I'm going to do in the meantime is I'm also not going to wait on publishing companies. I'm going to start releasing a video lesson because as long as you don't release the book yourself, a publishing company will still pick it up. Like if you have a few YouTube videos about the concept, it's not a big deal. So I'll slowly do that as well. And maybe I will end up self-publishing it. There's one professional out there that said that to me. He said, I was like, oh, what's the best, well, I can probably mention his name because I have an email with him saying this is Jared Falk from Drumeo. He was like, I just asked him, well, what do you think should I publish it or should I send it to publishing companies or should I self-release it? And he goes, well, send it to publishing companies. And if you don't hear back, you have your answer. Yeah. And so that's basically what I'm going to do. And I'm giving myself maybe about 6 months to see if I hear back from any of them. And then I'll start slowly releasing content. And at that point, hopefully I know how to use all the gear perfectly. I can make professional quality stuff. So
you'll be pushing out the content. You'll be pushing out content related to like the book and
exactly,
stuff and kind of building your brand and building a community and an audience of
exactly
like-minded individuals.
Yeah, and the cool thing with publishing companies is they're starting to change, or they have been changing to adapt to the digital world as well. So, a lot of people say, oh, they're so old school, they just sell physical copies. And I mean, physical copies are much higher than they were a few years ago. But that being said, they're adapting as well. So to be a part of a publishing company or record label, I think is still beneficial because when you do just self-release, it all comes down to how much you're gonna.
It's completely dependent on your audience.
Exactly. Yeah. So
that's one of the goals is kind of figuring out the best strategy, finishing the book, making sure it's ready for release, and then figuring out the best release strategy that makes sense at the time.
Yeah. Exactly. That's it.
Creating content.
Yeah. Strategy.
Finishing the book.
Yeah. And then band. So with old James.
If that's a goal.
No, it totally is. Like all of this works simultaneously in terms of like.
That is the beauty of it. Touching on like the first things that we talked about, like you want to be a drummer.
Yeah.
You are just shooting in all the directions.
Yes, exactly.
And you are heightening your chance of success because you are doing all these things that. There's a word for it that it's not coming to my head, but they're all helping each other.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's one of those things where like. success is preparation met with opportunity, or opportunity met with preparation, whatever it is. I don't actually know what it is.
What is success?
Yeah, exactly. No one really knows. Just firing on all cylinders. And yeah, but I think having those like short-term, like daily goals and monthly goals and long-term goals, like I think for musicians, that's been the hardest. Well, that's been the hardest challenge for me over the years is like whenever a tour comes up, I know I just have to show up to band practice, get prepared for the tour. I go on tour. It's fun. And job's done. But there's always somebody else, organizing it, and it's structured where, so for instance, I was just watching a live, just a live story of InstaChop's Adam. He was just talking about one of the questions. He was doing like a live Q&A, and one of the questions was what are the challenges with being self-employed? How did you get this off the ground? And, it's literally not only determination, but being strict with your time. Time management is huge. And so that's a skill set that musicians need to acquire.
Which 99% of don't have. But it's such a crazy thing. Like being a creative, like a creative type of person, usually comes with, it's so weird. Like I've spent a lot of time around creatives, and I would consider myself creative, but at the same time, I think I have a healthy amount of the opposite of creative.
Yeah. No, you're perfectly
but
well
I have like an
balanced.
entrepreneurial like spirit, and I love numbers.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyways, okay, so I hang around with people that are like way more creative than I am, like just like almost on the spectrum creative. Okay, and they have no time management skills. They're always like so present, high highs, low lows, like just like they're these crazy things, and it's almost like they need. Where am I going with this? Time management is generally not a skill set that a creative has. So if you are able to clamp down on that and maximize your time and make sure that you're being productive and that you set goals and that you are achieving those things, then that will just heighten your chance of having success.
Totally, yeah. And that's what I'm trying to acquire now. I know I have a bit of it, and it's
a skill, and it's a skill that you can work on daily too.
Yeah, exactly. Just discipline. It's like, and not over stressing either. I think that's one thing that
I'm terrible at that.
Yeah, like I am too, actually. So that's one thing I learned I was sitting in Spain for months, like with a lot of time on my hands, and that kind of stressed me as well. But then I
think that
remember,
would give me a heart attack.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, especially for you. You always need to be doing something. Yeah. But that's also like, if we can both find a balance, I feel like I'm a lot more. I was watching Christopher Robin, the new Disney movie with Winnie the Pooh, and Winnie the Pooh is like such an amazing philosopher, man. It's so true. Like I learned a lot from that movie, and I was watching that on the plane coming here. It's so true. And I used to watch Winnie the Pooh when I was a kid, and I loved it. I just didn't understand anything that was happening, and now reflecting on it, a lot of it makes sense, not doing nothing, but sometimes nothing comes to something. Like in terms of, you can't always force the situation. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's all situational.
Yes, totally.
Like it is completely dependent on the situation and, the context of it. But it is important to be in a healthy state of mind and to
that's my point. Yeah, is to not
work hard, but also balance your life and make sure that there's time for leisure, time for decompressing and
exactly. Yeah, so we won't go on too much of the Winnie the Pooh tangent. But what were we talking about right before that?
Time management.
Yeah.
Goals, band goal. It was goal 3 that we were.
Okay. Yeah. So on the band. Yeah. Thanks.
I'm amazed that I remember that. Normally, I'm the one that's like, I don't know, dude. What were you talking about?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, but with old James, we're doing our first jam on Friday, and one of my short-term goals is to have the basement jam ready by Friday. So I've gotten rid of a lot of junk so far. There's still a lot more to go, and
to touch on that.
Yeah.
yeah, the base, the basement
Yeah.
has so much stuff in it.
Oh yeah.
It sounds kind of weird to say with like no context to hear like, oh yeah, I
Yeah.
gotta get the basement ready in 5 days. But there's just like, are you guys just throwing stuff out? What are you doing?
Well,
Just like,
so okay, like, yeah. My mom has a little storage room, and a lot of it is her stuff from the past, like in terms of magazines and teaching stuff, because she's a substitute teacher and she's very old school, so she still has a lot of this stuff. And we are forever grateful to our mom because she's very supportive,
Yeah,
and
she's
the fact
awesome.
that she's so loving, the fact that we can even use her basement is so. I love you, Mom. Thank you so much.
I love you too, Mary.
Yeah. And like, but there is a lot of stuff down there, and she did start organizing it before. She's in Australia now visiting our older brother, and she started organizing a little storage room. So I took everything out and I reorganized just the way it could be stacked. So that room is like it's bursting at the seams. So anyways, a lot of stuff went in there. A lot of our music equipment is going in the back of the van, and I'm going to write to our buddy Calvin. If it can be fixed, it can be fixed and we can sell it. If it can't, it's going to the junkyard. So literally, like, and if there's a book or a magazine, like a Guitar World magazine, I don't care what the value of it is. If I can find it online, it's not worth keeping. You know, like just having that mentality. And if I've lived without it this long, do I really need it? So I'm having that mentality
That's
to
good, yeah.
literally get rid of shit. And so yeah, all that junk is being removed. And if we absolutely need it, like if it's something that the family needs, it can go in the garage or in that storage room, and then we can figure it out later. So right now my goal is just to get the junk out of the basement, and I'm almost finished painting. So we're going to start jamming on Friday. So I need to have the drums set up, which I picked up today. And a PA system and amplifiers, but the other two guys are responsible for that. And then, we're going to NAMM in LA next week. When we're back from that, I start teaching, and then I'm going to start working on developing the studio side of things, with the camera and microphones. So those are some short-term goals. And so for Old James, like long-term goals are, we have a few shows coming up, and our good friend Craig just wrote to me about a show February 15th in Toronto that we can hop on. It's like one of those 4 a.m. last call Friday nights. Just one of those.
So just trying to gig, like just
exactly.
Just gig,
Just gig. So we have one February 8th at Mavericks with White Cowbell, Oklahoma. We're from Toronto as well, and we're direct support for them. So I think that'll be a good slot for us. Yes.
So any of the Old James fans, should they expect new music in 2019?
Okay, so that's where I was going for long term. We'll be recording, and
you don't have to get into specifics. But
and that's one thing that we're going to be chatting about at our first jam is like how do we want to do it? Like not even how do we want to do the recording process, whether it's just singles or like just a full album, live off the floor kind of thing, like with the drums. But it's basically like, how do we want to market Old James? How do we want to even just jam? What is our jam schedule going to be? Not even marketing. Just that's all long-term stuff.
Just organizing the band, because you've been out of country for a while. So
yes,
it's like you're almost getting back to square one to just figure out like, okay, what is our mission? How are we going to do it?
Yeah.
Just kind of.
Yeah, we're just going to be focused on, okay, we have these local gigs coming up. Where do we want to, and not even long-term. Where, like, we have these local gigs coming up and we want to jam. What is our jam schedule going to be? We want to write new music for an album. Yeah. What song are we going to start with? We do have,
because you guys got like a backlog of.
Yeah, we do. So now with our new guitar player, Joe, we basically need to rewrite these songs because he has some new ideas. Mm-hmm. And he's a younger guy as well. And it's really cool because he said to Brian the other day, he's like, Brian, I really think we need to work on an image for the band. Where Brian and I have always been very jaded about that.
Brian would probably kick my ass.
Yeah, exactly. Mine too. And Brian's like, yeah, man, like Joe's a young guy. He knows what's happening. And like nothing too cheesy. Like we don't want to be those Nickelback bands that try too hard, but like just an image in terms of like our marketing, our logo, our
just
our
getting
music
everything on the same page and
exactly
building a brand.
Yeah, build a brand. Yeah. And like, so what, and really who gives a shit what people wear? Like it's more or less like, are we just at least cohesive as a band? Like, does our image as a band match our music and our brand, and like, you know what I mean?
Cool.
So yeah, that's kind of what we're doing.
To recap,
Yeah.
get the content machine underway. Kind of get that all going. Hopefully release the book. Do everything that you can do to get the book released, and then start with, like, pick it up from where you guys left off. Maybe take a couple steps back, figure out what it is you want to do with the band, and kind of get that going. Do you plan on doing any touring with any other bands? Those opportunities kind of come up here and there. So you think this year you're maybe going to take a step back from that?
Yeah, because like with mine and Brian's history, like we started doing major tours when we were very young, like starting for Brian when he was 17 and myself 18. And we did a lot of touring, like extensive touring, until I was about 24. So it was like a lot of session work here and there. We joined bands, left bands, like, but it was never like permanent. It was like, hey, do you want to play in my band? And nothing was ever said. But we always, like, the good thing is we've developed great relationships, and we worked really hard when we were in those bands. We weren't really making money, but we were helping them out. They were helping us out, and we were great friends with them.
Yeah.
And so basically, when it comes to anything coming up in the future, no, I don't think, like, even if I was called upon to do something, unless it's like Trivium or Metallica, or, you know what I mean? Like, we don't even know Metallica, but all I'm saying is, like, if someone is in a...
That was an interesting way of saying we know Trivium.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, but like, yeah, for example, like if someone was in a pinch, like, and they're people we know, then sure. Yeah. But like our manager, Brian Heafy, is Matt Heafy from Trivium's dad. So basically we have a really, like, he's family as well. So we have really great guidance. And I just want to focus on, if any band, even a band like Trivium that we know, asked me to play permanently, I'd probably say no, because, well, first of all, they have a kick-ass drummer. And secondly, I really, at our age, basically what I was trying to get at is, like, I'm almost 28 and I've had a lot of fun on the road doing that. But now, like, it's never really consistent, like you get paid maybe a big chunk of money for a month of touring, and then you have no employment for 3 months, and you might know you have another tour coming up, but it's not consistent enough to really survive off of. Yeah. And there's nothing that feels better than just playing your own music and trying to get there, try and get out there. Doing your own
think
thing.
that's like, I'm always a fan of someone that's able to, like, they've done something for so long, and then they're able to change what it is that they want to do. Yeah. Like, you're not completely changing what you're doing. You're moving away from something to focus on something else. Yeah. Because in that moment, like, this is what you value. This is what you, like, gives you purpose, and you feel fulfilled. I feel like a lot of people get stuck in a loop where they start doing something. That's what they're known for doing, and then if they don't enjoy doing that as much, they feel obligated to still do it. Dude, so totally. I have a big respect for people that are able to, like, they're doing something, they're successful at what they're doing, but it's like, hey, I want to maybe focus my energy on this. Well, dude, so that's cool.
That's exactly where I was. Like, that's another reason I did this past Cauldron tour. It was like, I've been in that, I played for Skullfist and Enforcer, and, like, Cauldron asked me to do this again. They're like great friends of mine, their family. So I was like, yeah, of course I'll do this. But in hindsight, like, it was more time away from what I want to be doing. And I had a great time with them on the road, but a great time. So what I was stuck in that loop was like, oh, maybe this tour will bring me more opportunities. I've already done this, so it's a skill set. I can just learn songs and go on the road. Maybe this next tour, oh, maybe this one with this band or that band. And then I thought the same with this Cauldron tour. Like, well, when Andy left Old James back in the spring, I didn't really see what, like, it's not that I didn't see a future for Old James. It was just like, okay, well, how, like, what can I jump on? And I did that again, and that's why I feel like everything kind of happens for a reason, because I am where I am now, and I've realized I want to work and teach drums because I am passionate about teaching and I enjoy it. But it's also going to give me stability on what I want to be doing.
Yeah.
Long term.
Like, yeah, so you enjoy doing that now, and it's also giving you, it's putting you in a position to have the resources and the time to do other things that you enjoy doing.
Yeah.
And you're just going to continue down that path, doing what it is that you enjoy doing.
Exactly.
And just like keep doing that.
Yeah.
And keep
So,
following that.
Exactly.
path.
And if a tour did come up, then I would probably say no, because I think I have enough experience now and I'm more mature than I was to realize that, yeah, it'll be a lot of fun to go tour Europe in front of 1,000 people a night with said band if that came up. For example, like a bigger band, if they were like, hey, we need you out for a month this spring. It's not really going to bring any more. Well, never fortune tell. That's one thing that I've learned. But it's not that it won't bring opportunities. It's just I've made a decision and I want to stick with it. And I think in order to be successful, it's very important to be disciplined in that aspect because, yeah, it's very fun and exciting to leave your life to go hop on a tour, but based on experience, it hasn't really it's brought me experience. That's all.
Yeah. I mean, it has brought, like, it has had
opportunities,
significant
yeah.
value, but you've also toured extensively. Like, you've spent a lot of time touring. You've traveled to the major places that you would ever travel to, like, and you've played in front of thousands of people. So it may not even be as like stimulating.
Exactly,
as it once was. Like it's, and when it's not your band, it's a different experience. You're not like as emotionally connected to it. You're not as like if someone says, "Hey, that was a great set," or buys merch or whatever. It doesn't affect you the same way. It's not like it's just
totally
it's a different thing. So
yeah,
cool, man.
Yeah, man.
All right, we're at 57 minutes, so I'm going to wrap this thing up.
Okay.
So this is Chris. Perfect. Chris has a YouTube channel. I'll link it in the comment section below. Go subscribe to it. As he said, one of his goals is to be creating more content. So hopefully he does that. Hold him accountable.
Yep.
He's endorses, all those crazy cool things. Does a bunch of cool stuff. Has toured the world a million times. Has done a bunch of studio stuff. He's been nominated for 2 Junos. He's writing a book. The dude lives to play drums. And I'm happy to have him back in town because we are going to be doing a bunch of stuff together.
That's it.
So thank you for listening if you made it to the end. And there we are.
See you guys.